Hi. So this is Marina Franklin, and I am the creator and the host of the Friends Like Us podcast. And the reason I'm doing this today is to supply you with some extra content about Friends Like Us. And this is the first time I'm doing this, so we're going to have some fun with it. First off, Friends Like Us, if you don't know about Friends Like Us, it is a podcast that features women of color discussing very different views about the hot topics that go on during the week. And a lot of them are comedians. And sometimes we have hosts that aren't comedians, but they have great personalities and they do things, they do stuff. And they inform us because we're not always informed. So it's great to have a podcast with women of color talking about the hot topics and also being informed about things that we're not informed on. I try to be woke, but every now and then I'm not as woke as I should be, as some of our listeners know that, right? So that's why I created this platform, because I'm always funny. I'm always going to be funny, but every now and then it's nice to have a place, especially in this day and age, where we can get a little serious. We can be human about the things that are going on. Bring some humanity to the comedy. And that's what we do. Also, the reason I did the podcast is to promote a lot of the women of color that are doing comedy today. Do you remember Saturday Night Live was looking for a Black woman that was funny, and apparently they couldn't find us. They thought we were hiding or something, we were, not around, it just wasn't going on for us. I was out there, and little tidbit, I auditioned. That was pretty funny. Even when I walked out of Rockefeller, they were like, you killed that shit. But I didn't get the part. So anyway, my point is, I am here to dispel that myth that there aren't women of color doing comedy. And there are a lot of young women of color that are doing comedy that you'll hear on the show. There are a lot of women of color doing comedy that are doing really well that are on the show. And once a month, we do have a man, like a period. And we also sometimes we'll have someone, a white. We mix it up. We have fun. There's no limits. It's a podcast, so we're just having fun, right? Yeah. So this is something I want to do to give back to our listeners, a little extra, because I really super duper appreciate you for checking us out. I really do. I really appreciate your ears. And I have some people who actually wrote me letters, and I thought I'd share them with you to let you know how people feel about our podcast. So this was recently written. This was written literally 21 hours ago. That's how much I stay on top of our fans. Listeners, I'm going to say friends, okay? Because fans is kind of it's like you're a fan. No, you're a friend. It's called Friends Like Us. All right. So Jordy Ironstar wrote me. Sorry for putting you out there. I'll say Jordan. I've been listening. Oh, they said good day. Someone watches Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Good day. I said good day, sir. Good day. I've been listening to Friends Like Us podcast for a couple of weeks now, and I am addicted. I am a Canadian Aboriginal. So in a lot of ways, okay, there was something in parentheses, but as our listeners know, I sometimes can't read. That's Keisha. So Marina can read, but Keisha can't read. But I'm going to say which Aboriginal. It says here, Nakota Sioux? Nakota Sioux. 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 C-I-S-I-O-U-X. Is that Sioux? S-I-O-U-X. Is that Sioux? I'm going to lose this fan. But they're Aboriginal from Canada, that's awesome. So in a lot of ways, I feel like I can relate and see the perspectives very clearly. I started listening to the show because I'm a big fan of Marina's stand-up. Hey! So this podcast isn't necessarily a pure comedy podcast, which is my point earlier, but I stayed because the show is so intriguing and informative. I think what you girls talk about and the perspective in which you talk about as women and people of color is so important. Yes, it is. I agree, Jordy. I wanted to shoot you ladies a message to let you know your voices are heard, and it truly does transcend throughout many different people of color. Tell everyone. Oh, no, they say, I tell everyone about Friends Like Us. And I just want to say, I really appreciate your show. Thank you, Jordan. The Aboriginal from Canada. Yes. And they said, thank you for your work and keep going. I'm never going to quit. That's right. All right. So then I have an email. Now, this was written a while ago. This was on May 3rd. We're in the month of May, so not too far, but I could have addressed it earlier. Sometimes we run out of time, don't we, Jay? So this person writes me quite often. It's a very long letter, so I will try to sum it up, but they write quite often, and it's Eric. Hey, Eric. Hey, I really appreciate your emails. I appreciate that you stay on top of everything that I'm doing, and you're like a serious friend. You're like a best friend. Dear Marina and friends, this below is way, way too long. I already said that, so all right. And they call themselves, Eric is a raggedy-ass white boy. That's what Eric said about himself, so I didn't say that. He said, raggedy-ass white boy here. It has been a while via email, though I've hit you up on Twitter from time to time. Yes, you do. And he says, Twitter is a horrible outrage machine, by the way, but that's another subject. So he goes off, All of what follows is mainly just an excuse to say hi. And it got long, so no worries if you don't have the time to read it. But that's why we're doing this. So given the theme of your show, this is something you might be interested in, a random thought, which of course I tweeted out for no good reason. It went something like this. Rihanna as a Valkyrie in Thor. Okay, let me skip that part. This was in response to a lot that has been going on with people calling out cultural appropriation. You had a lot of discussion of this back with Chewy about Ghost in the Shell, the white girl in a Chinese dress Twitter thing, among others. And yes, there is a very serious issue and a history around appropriation, especially many African American artists who get little credit and little material benefits from their creations, which others profited from. So, Eric, I really love how you listen to the show and you take it further, right? I mean, that's the best part of it because Eric, you said this, you're a raggedy ass white boy. So it's really cool that you're going back even further in our episodes, because I think we did that episode almost a year ago, and you have a reference point now. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to try to sum up your article by going to the end here. And all of this is just because I hope some interesting smart people will end up watching and commenting on, Star Trek. Because he comments on Star Trek being on the Discovery Channel. And he says, Star Trek has always figured very heavily as an allegory for America. Is it white or Euro-American culture? I don't know. Certainly, historically, it has been mainstream. And he talks about how they had actually the first interracial kiss was on Star Trek. So that's a really good point to bring up about how diversity, when we think about diversity in TV shows, Star Trek was really one of the first ones, right? So that's a good point. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for being such a sci-fi fan. So he says, okay, enough with watching Star Trek. Have a good time. Enjoy your cup of tea or whatever. And I know Atlanta is great, the TV show. And thank you so much for putting out Friends Like Us every week. And that's a good point. We put out Friends Like Us every week. Every Wednesday is an upload of Friends Like Us. We never skip a week. I never take a vacation. I never have a break. Look, I'm here. I'm here for you every day. Oh, here's a letter from a privileged white female. Her name is Olivia. Hi, Olivia, and thank you for listening. Hi, Marina. Privileged white female here. I just wanted to reach out and thank you for producing such an amazing podcast. I love listening to your show each week. I'm also from the Chicago area, Evanston, and enjoy hearing your references to the city and its many social justice issues. Although I would consider myself to be cognizant of racial inequality and the fact that how I move in the world in no way compares to that of people of color or other minorities, your show always teaches me new things. I love that your show intentionally provides a platform to promote and address the thoughts and opinions of primarily women of color. I also appreciate the fact that your show addresses current events and heavy topics while still maintaining positivity and laughter. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Entitled White Lady. Thank you, Olivia. I do love that too. It's like I always get like the best part of the show is that when I do live stand-up, I'll have audience members who come to the show who also listen to the podcast, and they'll come up to me and they'll say things like, okay, I'm white, but I really appreciate your show. And it's like you don't have to apologize. I just appreciate the fact that you're listening and that you get something from it. I get something from it too. So thank you. Also, something that we've done recently is we recorded a couple of episodes early. So the topics are not as hot, but I thought it would be nice to kind of cover what's been happening since our last episode. Now, the last episode we did was called The Racial Lens, featuring comedians Joel Johnson, Jenny Saldana, and Khalees Hawkins, and myself. And we basically talked about, it was right after Mother's Day, and we had a very intense conversation about the other side of Mother's Day, our complex relationships. And I really appreciated a number of fans who tweeted out and said how much they appreciated the episode. And one person was like, your GIF, is it a GIF? I used to say men's, but it's a meme. So those memes, that they put out are hysterical. And they always tweet at us. Our fans always tweet at us. We have some regular fans that tweet at us. Jordy tweeted at us. Jordy, who wrote us a letter, listening to the latest episode. This is such a great podcast. Highly suggest. So Jordy, you are doing your job. We have Stephen Bennett, who responded to Joyelle's wonderful quote where she says, as a woman of color, we always have to be like, is it racism? Is it sexism? Is it just that the person's an asshole? And it's a great quote. So we put it out there. We also talked about racial issues and identifying yourself and taking those tests to see where you come from and why that may be a little disturbing in a day and age where we have so many Nazis walking around the street. So that was interesting. And someone was like, I was just having that conversation about hair and my baby. And thank you so much for putting that out there. That was Africa Hands. Africa Hands, I swear, oh my God, just yesterday, I had the same conversation about babies and natural hair for Black people. So thank you, Africa Hands, for tweeting out at us. Also, we had an episode the week before, and I love this Twitter name, Miss I Do Not Yield. That is a wonderful Twitter name. I love it. Yo, I'm Team Chloe, because we had Chloe on the episode, and she was talking about ride or die, like why Black women suffer from being a ride or die woman for Black men. And she wrote, Miss I Do Not Yield, she wrote, yo, I'm Team Chloe all the way. Even if you take the fall for her, she's not waiting around. So Chloe Hilliard, that is. So you need to follow Chloe. Also, let's see here. So yeah, Beandra. Is it Beandra or Beandre? Beandra. I should get it right because she writes us all the time. She was really saying that she was glad that we're discussing it and it's an important conversation to have. Also about Mother's Day. And she was like, thank God I'm going to therapy today because I'm crying already. Thank you, Beandra. Also, Hugo Torres, who always tweets at us. You are amazing. So Hugo wrote, yep, my mom and I have a rough and tumble one. Culture clash, language clash, generational clash. But we love each other, and she sure does know how to cook the way I like it. Thank you, Hugo, for always being... Also, Paul Sullivan, who didn't tweet at us, but he always tweets out like every week, and he recommends the podcast. He's an old friend of mine, a comedian, Sully. He has his own podcast about baseball. I don't do enough sports. I could cover that some more, but I don't have a man, so I don't talk about sports. Usually if I have a man, I talk about sports, and just not happening. But I definitely would suggest that you listen to this week's episode of Friends Like Us, where we do talk about the racial lens and how people see us. And we talk about Donald Glover's new video, Childish Gambino, Race in America, which everyone loved. It was brilliant. And we talked about how it made us feel. And we talked about what it means. We really dissected how the images said what they were saying to America. So you got to listen to this episode. It's wonderful. Now, since that episode, though, a lot of things have happened in the news, and I am going to get to that right now. So, okay. Oh, I can't smile on this. So it's like, well, I guess I could talk about the royal family. The wedding is tomorrow. Everyone's flying to the wedding. But yeah, the royal family, and it's been a lot of drama with the royal family. Like, as we've been hearing, her father is not going to make it. And I kind of follow this, and then I don't, because it's like, I have my own life, and I'm single, and so I need to worry about getting a man. And like, I'm really happy for them, but like, I want to be happy for me. So Markle's white relatives, this was a Root article, which I had someone tweet at me, please cover more Root articles. Root articles, Root is a website, root.com. It covers Black topics, but, I do cover the Root articles, so. Your critique is wrong. So the Root said this, because it's always fun how they put it, because it's very Black, and I love that. Markle's white relatives are so goddamn messy. It's hard to look the other way. And these people really won't let Markle live or enjoy her upcoming big day, selling out to tabloids and just being generally embarrassing, and not in an adorable, cringy type of way. Like when your mom tells your spouse to be about that time you peed. When your mom tells your spouse to be about that time you peed your pants on a school trip in the 3rd grade, like that's a cute, adorable way. No, they seem far too civilized for these things. So, yeah, because the sister was going on about how basically she's a shallow person. I think there was a half brother. Like, they're also putting out there that she has like a half siblings. And you see the video where the half sister's like she looks very disgruntled. Like she's doing her own video where she's talking about stuff. It's like, come on, be nice to your family. Just let her have her moment. She may be shallow, but now she's a royal shallow. So anyway, so they're getting married. So that's happened since our last episode. We weren't able to talk about that because we would have gone into a lot of things like interracial dating. Like Khalees has a white boyfriend now. I've dated white guys before. I'm trying to go back because of the current environment that we're in. But it's right now I'm just single. Hey. All right. What other thing has happened? If you haven't been paying attention to New York City, which is supposed to be the most diverse city in the world, right? You have everything here. You have all type of ethnicities, nationalities. We are an inclusive city, and we have, it's Statue of Liberty is about immigration, is about bringing people in for opportunities, welcoming people. But every now and then you realize that from the top of what's going on in this world, our president trickles down into even a safe space like New York City. So we had a racist rant in New York City. A guy, I want to say he shall be named nameless, but they put his business out there. Okay? He is what is his name? Aaron Schlossberg. Okay? So, yeah, he's a lawyer in Midtown Manhattan. And he went on a racist rant in like a store where they're selling like fresh products. Okay, I got to get my intern to sum these up for me. This is when Keisha was messing up, because Keisha would try to read in the middle of stuff, and Keisha can't read. But Marina can when her intern sums up the articles. So, anyway, this racist rant, this dude, Schlossberg or whatever, it shows a middle-aged, athletic-looking white. Why do they point out that he's athletic? Isn't that crazy? It says the video shows a middle-aged, athletic-looking white man. I don't even get why they have to describe his physical like ability. Just say white guy, white man berating. And this is a good point because I've often wanted to have, and he's Jewish. I've often wanted to have Jewish people on the show as person of color, but I guess I was wrong. It says here he was white. White man berating both customers and a manager at a cavernous fast casual restaurant called Fresh Kitchen. Your staff is speaking Spanish. That's what he said. To customers when they should be speaking English. It's America, he adds. I will be following up, and my guess is that they're not documented. So my next call is to ICE to have each one of them kicked out of my country. Wow. He said that he's like, yeah, he actually got angry. He was like, because I'm paying for your welfare. So he also put them on welfare and said it was horrible, disgusting. You see like certain news channels like New York One covers it, and so they interview people on the street, and of course they give like a white man who's like, this is disgusting, and then they have a black woman. They had a black woman talking about it, but the black woman needed like a little powder that day. I was kind of upset. I was like, why couldn't you get a black woman who didn't look like she was just running for the MTA, running for the train? Because I would have been upset. I would have been like, hey, can you take that down? Because I need a little powder before you interview me, sir. But she did say this. She was like, there's no room for this. This is New York City. We are all here. You're going to be exhausted. You can't be racist in New York, okay? Because you're going to turn around. You're going to see every type of ethnicity, and you just need to get over it. So since this has happened, though, he cannot enter his law firm. They put out where he works. There are Yelp reviews on his business. People are like slamming him down. And so now the conversation has become, and I'll pose this to our audience. What do you think? Do you think that it's fair that they put his information out there like that? Do you think that it's a mob mentality? That we are now holding him responsible for his racist rant? Or do you think, did that make you feel like, oh, okay, he was racist, but I think that the way he's being treated is unfair? So I'll put that out to you. What do you think? And we'll discuss it on the next Friend Like Us. Okay, so you know what? Another thing that's happened, and this is a tragedy that has just happened actually today, there was a school shooting in Texas where as we're doing this, we don't know all of the news, but it's been not that long. You could count the weeks where we were talking about gun control. And when I do the podcast, I always think how I hope the discussion about school shootings stays out of this news cycle for a while. And it just doesn't. We're right back to this. We've had marches. We talk about the NRA. And we're right back to talking about students who cannot go to school and feel safe. So that's where we are there. So that will probably be on our next podcast. And it's really sad because it's just like doing things while Black. Like each week we've talked about white people who feel they have to call the police on a person of color. For whatever reason, they don't feel like they're moving fast enough for them on the golf course. Or they feel like them taking a nap makes them uncomfortable. But every week that we put this out, we can't catch up. Every week, there is something that we do as Black individuals that makes someone feel so uncomfortable, threatened even, that they call the police. And I love the memes that are out there with the woman who called the police on the family that was barbecuing. Oh, so she called, this was in California, and basically she called the police because they were using charcoal. Mm-hmm. And she was like, this section of the park, you can't use, like she was trying to use some little, like, I'm going to call the police because you actually can't do that here. Yeah, and everyone, they're just barbecuing.
Yeah.
And she's got these sunglasses on, and she looks like Sarah Huckabee, which is now being the comparison. It's like, was that Sarah Huckabee or was it not Sarah Huckabee? And she has these weird sunglasses on. So now they're superimposing her. Is that how you say it? Superimposing her onto everything that's Black. Like Martin Luther King in Washington. They have her on the phone calling the police. It's hilarious. And this is what I absolutely love about my people is that we'll take a moment like that and just have fun. And I mean, they've put her in so many different situations where they've just cropped her in and had her call into place. It's great. It's wonderful. Her life is ruined. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like we should leave her alone? Do you feel like it's too much? Do you feel like the comedy has to stop? Or do you feel like it's justified? What do you think? I'm going to leave that to the audience out there and listen to us talk about it on the next Friends Like Us. All right, and I think that's it. Let's see. Well, if you've had, too much of this news cycle, the FDA has just approved the first drug designed to prevent migraines. I don't know about you, but I have a headache from all the stuff that's going on in the world today. Every now and then I get really intense migraines, and sometimes it's too late to take Excedrin, which is actually not good for you because Excedrin it's like a lot of caffeine. It causes the capillaries in the brain. I sound like I know stuff right now. I'm really impressed that I just said capillaries. But anyway, my whole point is like the FDA approves this first drug designed to prevent migraines. So the first medicine designed, this article was written by Gina Kolata on the New York Times. It was written today. The first medicine designed to prevent migraines was approved by the Food and Drug Administration on Thursday, ushering in what many experts believe will be a new era in treatment for people who suffer the most severe form of these headaches. The drug, okay, it's a big name, Aimovig, Aimovig. I had to spell it out for you so you could get it in the store, okay? Made by Amgen and Novartis, is a monthly injection with a device similar to an insulin pen. The list price will be, that should have been like on the first line, by the way. It's $6,000. Actually, almost $7,000. It's $6,900 a year, said Amgen, and said the drug will be available to patients within a week. Well, I ain't getting that in a week. I have to save up. So yeah, the drug will have a huge impact. This is really an amazing time for many patients who are generally, suffering from migraines. So I don't know, do you suffer from migraines? And what have you done to prevent your migraines? Do you do herbal remedies? Do you trust the FDA to approve this? Do you have the money? Do you have the health insurance? Because I feel like when they bring up articles like this, they should also talk about whether or not, pharmaceutical companies are going to, like Novartis, are they going to make this affordable for people who don't have the money for it? It's pretty expensive, $7,000. I mean, I pay that on Seamless when I order my food. I don't know if I can afford a drug for my migraine. I get that maybe once in a while. So maybe I'll go back to Excedrin. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so this is Marina Franklin, and this is what we're doing. We're doing an update, like an updo. You know how you get your hair done, and then it's like there's a little mist in the weather forecast. Like it's gonna be like 6 days of rain this week. We're almost making it to good weather, but not really. Or maybe there's a volcano exploding where you live, and you're like, I just got my hair done. Now I gotta get an updo because the volcano ash is like hitting my hair, and I've been saying some crazy stuff, Jay. But seriously, like if you needed an update to the Friends Like Us podcast, this is what we're going to be doing here. And if you have any suggestions, please email us at friendslikeUspodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter. It's Friends Like Us 10. We have a Instagram. It's Friends Like Us Podcast. And we're also on Facebook as Friends Like Us. You can catch us. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Apple Podcasts. Where else are we? We're on Stitcher, Google Music. You can find us on so many platforms now. So the most important thing I want you to do is to check us out. Tell someone you know to check us out. Marina Franklin here saying, until I see you next Wednesday, bye-bye.
I mean,
I
a lot of
was
people,
invited.
you're not, royal enough, so.
I feel like because I dated a British guy, I should be invited at least.